Hey, family, and welcome back to my channel, A Woman's Heart Podcast, your go-to destination for exploring faith, inspiration, health, and personal growth. And today we are truly blessed because we have an inspiring guest that's going to be joining us. I have to say her story is very unique, from designing rockets to designing better human interactions. Our guest today has a fascinating story that you're going to want to hang in there and listen to. She is a certified coach, a licensed type practitioner, and she helps leaders and organizations unlock their potential by aligning their mindset, behavior, and actions. So join us as we explore her unique journey and gain insights into building high trust environments. Keep watching so you can get your blessing. On in. Hi, and welcome back to Woman's Heart Podcast, a wellness podcast where we explore faith, inspiration, health, and personal growth. Today, we're joined by Valari Jackson. Valari is an aerospace engineer turned leadership coach turned facilitator turned and has done it all, really. She spent over 25 years in speaking, coaching, and facilitating conversations around conflict, communication, and productivity. So get ready for a fresh perspective on human dynamics in the workplace as we delve into Valari's expertise in helping individuals and organizations achieve impactful outcomes. Think of me as your Chief Encouragement Officer, preparing you to explore her unique journey and gain insights into building high trust environments. Welcome to the show today, Valari.
Thank you for having me, Edna. I've been looking forward to this.
And thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule to grace us with your presence. Now, let's jump right on in because I want to know who you are from your heart and what makes you get up in the morning.
Ooh, from the heart. Now, part of the reason why I've been excited about this conversation is because in this space, we can talk about all of Valari. And the
Yes.
part that's often missing from the conversation is the faith part of Valari. So,
Oh,
because this is a faith-based conversation, what gets me up in the morning is nothing but God. I can tell you that is it. And I wake up, the first thing I say when I wake up is thank you.
mm,
And then I'm ready for whatever he has for me to do that day.
mhm. I love that. That's so good. So, with all that and being a woman of faith and knowing that your faith has pretty much, led the way for all of these amazing opportunities and careers that you've had, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and your background? Like, it's very fascinating, from the going from aerospace engineer to speaking, facilitating, and coaching, and really specializing in conflict. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got from where you were to where you are today?
Yes, because a big part of what ushered me in that journey is missing in that story. So I went from aerospace engineering
Mhm.
to a over 20-year career as a managing real estate broker. And
Mhm.
that is where I honed the skills and saw really the need again for understanding people where they are, understanding the dynamics of people, what kind of information they need to make good decisions. Because when you're looking at making real estate investments, those are major investments, whether they're residential or commercial. And just learning and listening and understanding that as much as I had to learn about people, they also needed to learn it about themselves.
Right, right. I love that. Wow. So tell us how but like your journey, like you went from in your mind processing from engineer to now real estate, and now you're in the coaching space. Were there
Mhm.
any opportunities? I wouldn't even say the word opportunity. Was there any fear involved with any of that, like going from one place to the next, in the one environment to another environment and starting there? Was it in, how did you navigate that?
Oh my goodness. So the journey. An
Yes.
important part of that story is most of that journey, I was a single parent.
Okay.
So
That's
I
it.
left a
Mhm.
certain income, a regular paycheck,
Mm.
and jumped in and took the hand of my then little boy and jumped into a world where you hoped you were going to get paid.
Right.
That's a big deal. So I learned a lot of lessons through that. Would I have changed it? No. God designed me to be an entrepreneur.
Mm.
I always say that if God truly loves me, I will never have to get a job again. So
I'm gonna start leveraging that. I like that. I'm gonna borrow that.
yes, he that's the way he designed me.
He
So going
designed.
from engineering to real estate,
Mhm.
I was faced with number one, running a business for myself for the very first time. And interestingly enough, I was in business before I realized I was running a business. That's
Mm.
a whole nother podcast episode, let me tell you.
Right. Right.
But it was learning just as I went. How do I garner my time? How do I set my priorities?
Mhm.
Um, a big part of, like I said, I was a single parent. So making sure that I was available to my son when I needed to be available to my son. And I learned lessons around that
Yes,
that
it did.
I'm still reflecting on today.
Mm.
What moved me into the coaching space, however,
Mhm.
was having these successes in my business
Mhm.
and not really being able to tell you why I was having those successes.
Wow.
So I moved into the coaching space by first getting a coach.
Mhm.
And it
Mhm.
was through having a coach that I learned how to repeat the activities that brought success to me. And then I just organically had people saying to me, Valerie, how are you doing it? Show us.
Right.
And so I just started sharing what I was doing.
Mhm.
And before I knew it, I had moved from full-time in real estate
Mhm.
to full-time in real estate and almost full-time coaching and training, speaking
Right.
to other people, showing them how I was doing, how I was doing what I was doing. And what was interesting about that is I was making no money on the coaching, training, and facilitation side because I loved it. And
Mhm.
then came the time when I was faced with the truth.
Right.
You can't do both of these. What are you designed to do? And that's how I made the switch. I had to make a decision.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not an easy decision to make, though, I'm sure. I mean, just having to, it's almost like doing the plus delta on both sides and deciding to make that switch.
Yeah.
And then pivoting is always, it sounds like that's in your background anyway. It's like part of your nature. You pivot. But making the switch, sometimes we can hesitate because we hold on to that thing that we're so comfortable with that we've been doing. So making that switch for you, how was that? Not holding on to that comfort zone and saying goodbye to it. Was it once you made it in your mind, were you like, I'm done, let's move forward? Or did you ever think maybe I should dabble in that?
So, because God knows me well, because He designed me, He continues to put me in situations where I don't have a choice.
Right, right. Either
So,
swim or sink, right? Sink or swim.
right, it's like you said you have the faith, you said you're doing it, jump out and go. I remember the day that I crafted my Facebook page because back then, this is where we announced to the world what we were doing,
Right. So
right?
everybody knows that's right.
Exactly. And so I crafted my Facebook post that said, I'm switching sides. I'm going
Mm,
full time into coaching and training. I
yes,
had a good group of coaching clients. I had
yes.
no idea how to really make money in the coaching business
Hmm.
because, again,
Hmm.
this was a new business to me,
Right,
but I was
right.
going all in. In my mind, though, I was like, well, this doesn't really work. I've got my real estate broker's license and a managing broker's license at that, which is the highest level you can get. And so I thought, I can do this, and I have this to fall back on
Mm. Yeah.
until it was time for me to renew my license.
Hmm.
I had to do it by midnight, and I was
Yeah.
contemplating, and I fell asleep.
I guess that was your answer.
And I woke up after midnight. I was like, well,
That's my
okay,
answer
so
right
that's
there.
gone.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think that's a wonderful gift to have to be able to make the shift and be able to walk in it like full force because it does take faith. It's a faith journey as you move into and you pivot into that next thing that God is opening that door for. Because it was already there. It was just making the getting it pulled together so that it was an actual business and you could start making money in that area. but you were already doing the work. So
Doing
it
the work.
sounds like
Mhm.
you have
Yes, yes.
taken yourself to the next level, which I love. So let me shift gears a little bit because many people see engineering as a very logic-driven, structured field, while coaching is like more like interpersonal dynamic, more intuitive and fluid. So how do you see these two coming together, these two worlds informing each other in the work with your clients that you do?
One thing I'm really grateful for is that every step of my journey has had some value in informing the next few steps.
Mm-hmm.
What engineering showed me was process.
Yeah, I can see that.
And when it comes to running a business, and my clients are business owners and executives,
Mhm.
when it comes to running a business, you need to understand process and understanding that if you want a certain outcome, you have to be able to assess what activities you want in order to achieve an outcome.
Mhm.
Engineering is all about that. What do you do on this end to garner this result at the other end?
Mhm.
My specialty is aerospace engineering and electrical electronic. When you
Mhm.
send a current through a wire and you want it to come through the other end, you have to know what the path will be. And
Right.
so that's very much like coaching.
I love that. I love that. So, is there a difference between training, facilitating? If so, how would you define that?
Okay, so this is how I define it. You get several different opinions on this.
Hmm.
Training, I'm showing up as the subject matter expert of the topic that people are there to learn about. And
Okay.
when the day or the week is done, they're going to leave that experience having learned a new skill. With facilitation, I may be the subject matter expert on the topic.
Mhm.
I am, however, the expert on navigating the conversation.
I like that word, navigating.
Yes. And so when they leave that experience, what they're going to leave with is perhaps a new skill,
Mhm.
perhaps more information about a topic. For sure, they're leaving with heightened awareness. Because a
I love
good
that.
facilitator is able to open up a conversation and allow people to see things and new perspectives that they didn't even know that exist.
Okay, I love that. That's so good. So when now this is going to just take a little deeper dive. So when speaking to the large groups, how do you prepare? What is your process, and how do you know if your message resonates with them, and why is this important?
One of the first things I do when I'm asked, and it's the same with coaching, you have to
Mhm.
know who you're talking to.
Right. Know your
So
audience.
you have to know the audience, and the only way you're going to know the audience is to ask. When I'm
Mhm.
approached for a conference, to speak at a conference or facilitate for a retreat, one
Mhm.
of the first questions I ask is number one, what do you hope to achieve by having this retreat? Because a
Mhm.
lot of us get so focused on the content,
Yeah.
we're not aware of what the context is of the
Mm.
conversation. Why are we even doing this? And if you can really dig deep and understand that, that helps you prepare. Then you get to know, okay, now who's coming? Who's coming to the party? How do we fix what it is they want to
Right.
enjoy? And just experience on knowing that certain types of learning styles need certain types of information. If I'm speaking to a group of accountants, my information is going to be passed to them in a very different manner than it would be if I'm speaking to a group of attorneys. They're
That's
looking for different types of evidence
mhm.
to be able to accept what it is you're saying.
That's real good. I love that. So let's shift gears a little bit more because now that you've answered that question, how are you, as you're working with entrepreneurs and organizations in a high trust environment, what are some of the key elements that contribute to building and maintaining trust, especially when dealing with sensitive issues like conflict and communication breakdown?
Vulnerability. That's where you
Uh,
start. Yes. Show up as who you are
mm,
and always listening. the key to any good conversation is to ask good questions, to be present, to hear what the person is saying rather than waiting for your turn to talk, and to be truly invested in the outcome that they want. And here's the other part is understanding and being honest about if it's an outcome that you cannot provide, saying that as well. A lot of
Yeah.
us are so ready to jump on anything that looks like opportunity to us.
Mhm. Yeah.
And what sometimes it is, it's a learning opportunity that this
Mm.
is not the right professional engagement for me. And I will say that as well.
I love that. I love that you have that. It's like almost like instinct. Uh, being intuitive enough to understand that it's not, you don't always have to jump on that particular opportunity and move in that direction.
Right.
And that takes a lot of self-awareness, who
It
you are.
does.
I love
Lots of
that.
learning, lots of time, and you know, the other thing that makes that easier to do as well is knowing people like you. It's, maybe it's not the right opportunity for me, but
Mhm.
it may be right for you. And having people within my cadre that I can say, here's who you need to talk to for this particular situation, and being able to do that with confidence.
Love that. That then you become this people connector, right? You're
Yes.
connecting people to
Oh,
people,
yeah, I
which
am
I
a connector.
I love that about your personality, Valerie. You are a connector and you're very dynamic. So you got lots of great wisdom and advice for folks. You know, when you're in her, I'm just going to tell the audience, when you're in her presence, you will get encouraged and empowered just through the conversation.
Thank you. And I
I
can say the
I
same about you.
we are sharpening each other's iron. That's what we're supposed to
Absolutely.
do. I love that. So, what's one piece of advice you could give to someone, whether they're an entrepreneur or part of a larger organization, who is struggling with communication, productivity, or conflict within their team, and like what would be the first step that they should take to start moving in a more positive direction?
The first thing that I always suggest people do before they reach out to try to understand someone else is to first understand themselves.
Mm.
And that is a very deep dive. I am consistently learning more about myself through just experience, organic relationships, and also on purpose through assessments and skill building and just having good conversations with people I trust on a regular basis, and probably to a point of where it's driving some people to like, please stop asking me. I will ask the people I trust, what did you hear me say? What did you get from what I said? How is this coming across to you? Because what we put out to the world is not always what's received. So understanding,
Conversation.
yes,
It's a dual conversation happening.
it
I agree with
is.
you. I've seen it, I've experienced it.
My gosh, it is. So just that's where I start. And then
Mhm.
heightening that awareness. And then now you can understand and accept that not only are people different from you, they are right for being different from you,
And that's
not
okay.
wrong.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I love that. That's such great advice, Valerie. I told you every time I get around him, like she's so encouraging. She gives great advice. So you got an awesome, awesome, awesome book launch that's coming up. So why don't you tell us about that major book launch that's coming up and give us some dates, give us your information. So if someone would like to further the conversation, they can reach out to you.
Thank you. So this actually, you know what? I have it right here
Oh,
because I was told to have it right here. So I
yeah.
do. It is called 90 Days and Then. It is a guided journal experience on mindset.
Awesome.
So what this book does is it helps you investigate, number one, where you are, because like I said, that's always where you want to start.
Right.
The you are here button on the map, right? If you're
Mhm,
going
mhm.
anywhere, you have to know, in order to know what the journey is going to look like, you got to know what your starting point is.
Exactly.
So
That's
this starts you there. And then the next thing you do is you determine, well, where would I like to be?
mhm.
And so that's the first 30 days. And the next 30 days are, where do you want to go? And then the next 30 days are, what misalignment do you see
Mhm.
in where you are and where you want to be? And that helps you shift to get to that endpoint. And as we know, that endpoint is just another starting point for the next journey.
I love that. And there's something unique about your book too, because you have links in there that can take you to a website or a YouTube channel to get specific information. So tell us a little bit about the uniqueness of the book.
Yes, and that was something that was given to me as I started it because I kept hearing God say, get your voice out there, get your voice out there. Well, sometimes what he means is different than what we think.
Right.
The
That's
way it shows up in this book is that periodically throughout it, there are places where you'll go and listen to an audio clip of me helping you get some more detailed information about the topic you're reading about or the part of the book that you're in. And
mhm,
so it's my way of sharing my voice
mhm.
and also my heart with the person who is experiencing this journey. And I hesitate to call people readers because you're not just going to read it, you do it.
Right.
And that
Right.
I'm so excited about that. So I'm launching in the DMV area
Mhm.
February 28th. I'm really excited about that. It's like it's happening finally. So I can really
Congratulations.
excited about that. I have actual books in my hand and I'm ready to go. And that is the beginning of a 3-city tour. I will
Okay.
be in Seattle
Mhm.
on March 28th and then in San Diego on April 5th.
I love
And there's more information on where that is and how to RSVP if you want to join me. So I make sure I have enough cocktail weenies for everybody. And
They
so
don't
you
want to
can
walk away saying they didn't get they got their book, but they didn't get their cocktail weenie. So that's important.
exactly. You know how, especially us, you know how we are. All right.
Yes. People talk about you behind your back. Oh, you know what?
Right.
I didn't get the I didn't get the cocktail weenie, you know. So
Right, right.
that is good. Well, and then also, you have your book, but then how can people get the book? Like if they can't make it to the launch, or is the book on Amazon, Barnes Noble? Where can we get it?
So there's a website that I've created. Now remember, I always laugh about this because as I shared with you, I'm an engineer in the
Mm-hmm.
head, right?
Yeah.
So when I create something, it looks like an engineer created it.
Okay.
And it's going to work,
Mm-hmm.
functional.
Mm-hmm.
It's all the parts and pieces are there, and that's what you get. So when you
Okay.
go to
Hey.
90 Days and Then, which is the name of
Mm-hmm.
the book, 90daysandthen.com, it will
Mm-hmm.
take you to a site where you can purchase the book. It is also available on Amazon. The
Awesome.
difference is that if you purchase it on 90days.com, if you want a signed copy and you're not able to make one of the events, you can request a signed copy there. And
Love
it's
it.
also going to have the information on where the launches will be.
Love that. Love it. I love the 90-day window too, because that's a short term in terms of how you're thinking. It's not the long term marathon, it's the short term sprint to
Yes.
get you to that long term marathon at the end of the year. So it's almost like if you look at it from the quarterly perspective, there's 4 times that you're going through this process. And so it really iterates, each time. And I love that. I like that 90-day window.
Thank you. That it is scientifically proven that
Yeah,
we achieve more in short sprints
I
than
believe
we
that.
do in long marathons because as you and I both know, as coaches and people who help those that are in the leadership field,
Yes.
many people, I'm not going to say most, I'm just going to say many people have
Mhm.
already dropped what they consider to be their New Year's resolutions.
That's
And we're
real.
just in February.
Yeah.
And many people will not even really seriously consider them again until
Mhm.
November.
Right.
So
Right.
all that time in between just goes by. They may pick it up for a minute and, well, let me
Think
see, and
about
then
it.
drop it again. But when you give people a shorter time frame
Mhm.
to really look at what it is they're doing in full transparency, you're
Mhm.
going to have a better result every time.
I agree. I think it makes you be intentionally focused. like
Yes,
on the thing that you want to get done.
absolutely.
And then you can put your energy in that. They call it the zone of genius.
On the genius.
Just get in that and run the race for 90
Yes.
days. You can do
Yes.
that. Yeah, I
Yes.
love it. Well, thank you, Valerie. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show today. And I want to say, with all that you got going on, we appreciate you taking the time to share your heart and your knowledge and your wisdom, and specifically your passion on what you do. And we love the fact that you're an impact leader. So thank you again for joining the show.
Thank you so much. This has been an amazing opportunity. I can believe it. We're done already.
Yeah, well, we're just having a wonderful conversation like we do, right?
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
and you're sharing all kinds of gold nuggets and wisdom. So I'm sure that the audience has gleaned a lot of wisdom from you today and that they'll be reaching out to you. So as we wrap up, if you've enjoyed our time together, remember to like, share, and comment and subscribe to the podcast. If you'd like to connect with me direct, you can reach me on voemetoday@gmail.com. And if you want to learn more about our services and our resources at Voices of Encouragement, you can go to our website, voicesoфencouragement.com. And remember, our mission is to empower minds and transform lives. And as we always say at the end of every podcast, Ephesians 4:1, walk worthy of the call for which you were called.